Welcome to my review of my framed Minnesota 2.0 fat bike. I have just put over 100 miles on the bike, and I feel like I am now to a point where I'm comfortable enough with this bike that I can do a review over it and give you my honest feedback. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start at the back of the bike, and I'm going to work my way toward the front and try to cover everything that I like, don't like. It is available at thehouse.com. I got mine for around $650. It is an aluminum frame. If we start here at the back tire, the first thing everybody's wondering about when you get these big fat bikes is, what are the tires like? The tires are noticeably heavier than my 29er, obviously, because it's a 4-inch wide tire. It's a 26er. But when you take into account how deep these tires are, you add about another 3 inches, which makes it almost basically a 29-inch wheel. But this is Frame's tire. It is an all-season, all-weather tire, and I would agree with that completely. I have had tons and tons of grip with these tires. Absolutely no complaints. On from the tires, let's move to the drivetrain. The Minnesota 2.0 is powered by 2x9 system from the SRAM fam. On the back, you can see we have the X5 from SRAM, and up front on the 2x we got the X7. One concern I did have when I first got the bike is I got this bike to ride it in snow and muddy conditions, and if you take a look here, the chain is super close to the tire. So one thing I really try to keep on top of is cleaning and lubing my chain every so many rides to make sure that it stays in its life expectancy and I don't have to replace that chain. Moving on from the drivetrain, we go to the mechanical brake. They are disc brakes, and once you get these things tuned up, you will stop on a dime. I coach baseball, and I will ride this bike to practice, and I let a player ride it one day, and he hit the brakes and hit the front brake and almost went over the bars. That stopped him so quick. Okay, next we'll move on to the crankset. The crankset, I have had a little bit of trouble with this arm here coming loose, but I have a park tool for that you just put in there, crank that down, put a little bit of Loctite, and you really should never have that problem again. From the crankset, we're going to move up to the seat, the Velo Plush. This is a very nice seat. I have had zero problems with saddle sores. In the past on other bikes, I've had to either replace the seat or I bought shorts that have the insert for comfort, and you can go for rides of over 10 miles on this bike and you don't have to worry about any kind of discomfort or soreness the next day. From the seat, we're going to move to the cockpit of the bike. The stem is 100 millimeters long and the handlebars are 710 millimeters wide. Makes it a good size that you can still get between tight single track, but you have plenty of control up front. Give you a shot of what the front of the bars look like. Coming through, broke off my brake lever there. Here are your shift paddles, front and back. Okay, now that we've gone through a little walkthrough of the bike, I want to give you some of my first thoughts because this is the first fat bike that I have ever owned. I've ridden a few others, but I got this one through thehouse.com around Thanksgiving, because I ordered it on Black Friday, and I got it in just in time for Global Fat Bike Day. And in order to do that, I went through the house at a package where if you paid a little extra, they would send it to you partially completed. I think the only thing I really had to do is put the front wheel in, put the handlebars on, and work my brakes and shifters on with the handlebars. With that being said, make sure when it shows up at your door, before you take it out to ride, that you do a thorough check to make sure that your shifters are fine, the derailleurs are on correctly and adjusted accordingly. Really want to check your brakes. I say that because you might have noticed when I was showing you the handlebars, the right handlebar grip is different than the left one, because the first day that I took it out, I did not check the brakes and went around this turn too fast and flew off because I had no rear brake. We took it to the local bike shop, got it adjusted, and I have zero complaints. All in all, I absolutely love my fat bike. I have tons of grip. I've been able to go places that I've never gone before. I've been able to ride at times in the year that I've never ridden before, whether it's 6 inches of snow, whether it's been raining and the trails aren't quite good enough for a 2-inch wide tire, but I can take this and I'm not making any ruts. I'm sitting on top of the dirt and mud, and it's to the point where I want to start upgrading my bike. So a few things I've been looking into are a front suspension and making this an even more all year round bike. I have tons of grip without the front suspension. I've never really been bucked off of anything, but I think if I were to put an additional suspension on the front, that this bike would be my favorite of my fleet by far. A couple other things to consider if this is a fat bike that you're also looking at for your first fat bike. It is affordable. I got it for $650, and I believe it's still that same price on thehouse.com. But Framed also has a setup where this is basically can be 3 bikes in one, because although this is a 4-inch wide tire, they sell the Fatty Slims, which are a regular 29-inch tire, 2 inches wide, and you can get that in the slick version for road riding, or they have a more knobby tire to make it like an actual 29er. I want to thank you for stopping by and checking out my review after the first 100 miles on my framed Minnesota 2.0. After I get my front suspension, I'm going to install that, and after probably another 100 miles, 50 to 100 miles, I'll do another review on how it feels with the front suspension. If you would like to see that video or any other videos, be sure to subscribe to my page, and see you on the trail.